Good evening, everyone. I'm Ronald Presner, Chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the Town of Mount Pleasant. Welcome to this evening's meeting. Before we start, let me first introduce the members of our board. To my far right is Adrian Novak. To my immediate right is Nicholas DeChico. To my left is Kathy Grahowski. She's Secretary of Planning and Zoning. To her left is Mr. Herb Dorr. And to the far left is Mr. George Lopato. Before we start anything, we have 3 adjournments for tonight, so I don't know if anyone's here for it. The first one is 434 Sherman Avenue, Z24-47. The other one is Z2511, 790 Hardscrabble Road. And the last one is Z2516, 24 Pine Road in Valhalla. Okay. So we're going to start, I'm going to dispense, we have a small group here, so I'm going to dispense with how we run the meeting, and I think Mr. Villani is coming up next. He can demonstrate to you how we run the meeting. Okay, just need to remind you, you're still sworn in from the last month's meeting,
Absolutely.
okay? And when we met last time, I'll just read it for the public record. You're Jonathan Villani, the applicant for Sal Pepage,
Babash, correct.
the owner of the premises at 174 Elwood Avenue in Hawthorne.
Correct.
And I'm designated on the tax map as 112.17-1-58. And the application is for the legalization of an existing one-story addition to a single-family dwelling in a legal 5,000 square foot lot in an R10 zone. Lot coverage, 1,000 square feet. Existing is 1,175, proposing 1,300, 300 square feet. Front yard setback hasn't changed. It was 30 feet required. It's 9.4 feet from the street, and again, there's a 20.6-foot variance.
Correct.
And it was your responsibility from the last meeting to soothe,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
So,
So as you recall, we spoke about the increase in the nonconformity, which is they already have a 9.4 setback from the street. They increased that by adding to the side of the house, but we spoke about the conditions in the area, and I did a site visit to all the houses along Elwood. Didn't really take a long time because I made a right off of Stevens to Elwood, and literally just took the first 6 houses as I made the right, and every one of them was non-conforming to the front yard. So I went to each site and took a photo as well as took a site off of GIS mapping. 135 Elwood, as you can see, is approximately plus or minus 5 feet off of the property line and needs 30, as well as 138 Elwood Avenue, 140 Elwood Avenue, and then I have 3 others. Or 2 others. 3, but I didn't, oh, the map, so 2 of them were next to each other on 180 and 182, so I just took one map coverage, 2 of the pictures. Roughly 18 feet on one required 30, 17 feet on the other required 30, 10 feet. So I didn't even go further than getting to my actually subject property on 174 Elwood before having 6 to 8 houses that all had front variance,
Right.
that required front variance if they were to be built today. So I did that, just took the photos and the maps and took approximate measurements without giving, surveys for each one, but it's pretty much obvious.
The point in question was, I think he put an addition on the side.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so that increased the lot coverage.
Yes, it did. Did increase the lot coverage. All the properties in that area are also probably substandard lots, and plenty of them look larger than my subject property's house. I do believe that the separate car garage, which he didn't perform any proposed changes to, what's making him go over that existing coverage is the two-car garage that's actually separated to his house. Which is something other properties don't really have. So the house is not necessarily the over-coverage, it's that two-car garage and structure in the rear, which he didn't really make any changes to. He just made changes to the main dwelling.
Ms. Novak, you have any questions?
It's just still a little hard just for me to see from here. What is the total distance from the correct right angle?
So this here is this is his front of his structure, 9.4 feet away from the front property line. So this little outcropping here is what was the increased nonconformity.
We were out there. I was just curious what the exact measurement was from the right angle.
Yeah, it's 9.4 feet, which wasn't, it didn't go any further into the front. It just maintained the
Jettied out, basically.
the line of his house, yeah.
Okay.
No further questions.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. DeChico? No questions? Mr. Dorr?
I mean, the only point that I still have a problem is the fact that somebody built this without permits, et cetera, that, I mean, technically, we can say take that whole thing off.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, is a big hardship on that person.
No, I agree with you, and I mentioned that to all my, as I mentioned in the previous meeting, it's a business that has become a subsidy of, I've developed a separate business just for this in all different towns. I think the strictness of the rules and regulations and the zoning ordinances is helping the progress, but it's just not, people are still doing things, without.
I mean, I commend you for doing the research and pointing out for the record a lot of the houses that are similar from the front to the street.
The other outlying factor is that I spoke to, because he was very adamant about his neighbors, so I did speak to a couple of his neighbors, both two sides, and they're actually elated with the fact that he's improving the whole property. So it made it a little bit more easy for me to put up a case for it.
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Lapazos?
I share Mr. Dorr's concerns, but that said, I do understand the circumstances that you find yourself in, making an application to correct something that wasn't done properly at the outset. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you.
Does the board wish to make a decision on this application? I don't think that, all right, is anyone here for or against this application? No, I don't think so. Does the board want to make a decision on this application?
Perhaps we could wait till business session, Mr. Chairman?
All right. I was asking about holding it until the business session. Any other comments?
I concur with Mr. DeChico's thought on that.
Okay. So we'll hold this over for a business session.
Appreciate it.
Later
Thank
this
you.
evening.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next application is 2513 Thomas Haynes, I'm sorry. All right, raise your right hand, please. Testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay. And you're Thomas Haynes?
I'm Thomas Haynes, yeah.
Okay, you're the applicant for Frank
Cipollone.
Cipollone?
Yeah.
Okay. The owner of the premise is located at 378 Grasslands Road, and that's in Valhalla, designated on a tax map as 117.17-1-34. The application is for a proposed addition, a three-car garage, and a new covered front porch to an existing single-family dwelling. Front yard setback is 50 feet required, existing is 29, proposing 24/7, so it's a 25.3%. But
Correct.
actually, what you're doing is you're only increasing it by
4.4 feet. Correct.
We went down there. It's an interesting road. But
700 feet back.
Yeah, you never realize what's back there. From what I can gather, the house seems to, there's a lot of land, if you're facing that, to the left of it,
Correct.
right? But it's very tight to the right.
Correct.
Okay. Why don't you explain what's going to happen, what you want to do, and then we'll take it from there.
Will do. May I take this?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
open it? Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Again, my name is Tom Haynes from Haynes Architecture, presenting an application for an addition and alterations at 378 Grasslands Road, as you had mentioned. So on the first sheet here, I'd just like to start with, I guess the aerial view might tell the better story here. So Grasslands Road is down here, located towards, it's actually off the bottom of the sheet here. So this is an aerial view. Our subject property right now exists here, which is towards the bottom section of the property, which is closest to Grasslands. It's my understanding that I think many, many years ago, I think, you know, the question came into my mind initially when we started this project was, you know, how does the house exist where it does currently? You know, I don't believe there was any variances granted on this, so I think maybe what was considered at that time, I think maybe with regards to the front yard setback was, I don't know if they considered maybe Grasslands the front yard, because that's technically where the property line goes to. I'm not exactly sure why the house can exist where it does currently. But with that said, unfortunately for my client, his house does exist very close to what would be considered by today's zoning the front yard setback. So as you can see here, there is a great amount of screening between our subject property, which is 378, and the neighboring property to the right when you're looking at the front entrance, which is number 376 Grasslands Road. I would like to point out that it's my understanding that my client did speak to the neighbor here, which is his immediate neighbor. I don't believe he's affected whatsoever with our proposal, but even if you do consider that he is, he has no objection to my understanding for our proposal today. So I think, you know, essentially, if we're sort of looking at this in the unique scenario, the flag lot condition, you know, I think the front yard setback intention is really for a true street front. So I think with regard to our setup of what this existing house is now, it's almost should be treated like a side yard setback, in my personal opinion. I don't know that, you know, the front yard setback requirement should necessarily apply to this flag lot, but I do understand that that's the town zoning requirements. So with that said, the intention of the design here was my client needs a 3-car garage. They have a growing family, so they do need space. They do want to modernize the home. You can see pictures here up at the top of the existing dwelling. So our goal is to eliminate this garage because he does have a need for a 3-car garage, turn this garage that's here on grade now into living space, open up the whole front, do a second floor addition with a wraparound covered porch, and then maximize the views through the house to the back pool. And all of the living space would then be centered on this pool, utilizing the space back here for the 3-car garage. So if I flip this over to our proposed site plan, we can see here that this gray solid hatched area is the existing dwelling, existing pool and patio around it. We are proposing that 4.4-foot expansion, which at the ground level is actually a covered porch, but at the second floor, we needed that 4'4" to maximize and have feasible bedrooms located up for his children. So if I'll show you a rendering momentarily, which you have not seen as part of the package, but I'll show you what this house is going to look like and what the intention was. So as we proceed down the driveway here to come into where the property opens up in the flag, this here would be the 3-car garage, which is connected through, it's not a breezeway, it's actually a connected mudroom in this area with pantry. Kitchen is being relocated to the back left corner, and we're proposing an outdoor living space, which would have a covered roof and outdoor fireplace here, again, maximizing the views towards the pool. So this, again, is the area that we're 29.1 feet from the existing front property line to the existing house at that line there, and we're proposing 24.7 feet to the edge at the first floor to the porch, but the second floor exterior walls
Can I
upstairs.
just interrupt just for
Sure.
clarity?
Yes.
So even though the notice application states that the variance is for a 3-car garage and new covered front porch, in actuality, the garage is not really affecting the variance at all.
Correct.
It's just the extension around the lip of the house for the porch.
Correct. So everything is fully compliant with regards to coverage, FAR, setbacks in all other locations. The only relief we're requesting tonight is just a 4.4-foot extension from, again, if this is the front entrance, to the right-hand side of the house. So I'll show you, let me just, yeah.
I know, I'm sure the answer is yes, but there's no other variances that were needed or flagged for the garage for setbacks or anything like that?
No, we're fully compliant. We need to hold 15 feet to the side wall of that attached garage. In fact, there's a 17-foot easement that runs through. So we're even 2 foot past the minimum requirement on this side, where I believe the rear yard is a 40-foot setback. We're at 69 to a deck that's upstairs. And then again, this is the requested relief right here, which is only 4.4 feet. And then we have more than enough on this side as well.
So there would be, I think you said 17 feet to go around the side for anybody that needs to get back for either recreational or safety reasons.
Correct, correct. So this will give you an idea of the house that we're proposing. So again, just to put it in perspective, this lower section of the house here with this right side exterior wall is the existing envelope of the house. We're proposing, I think it was a 3.5 foot addition forward of this, somewhere in this area, just to maximize the interior of how we had to design this. But this side wall here is our existing wall, our existing exterior location. So at the first floor level, we do have that covered porch. So to our columns, that would be that relief that we're requesting. And as you can see, the second floor bumps out because this width is just too narrow. Even by doing this, these bedrooms, in my opinion, are a little tight for this house that we're doing. But because of the home that they wanted, the double height spaces, we're eliminating a lot of usable floor area upstairs. And again, the objective is to maximize all views through the house to the back pool area. So again, this is fully compliant. Here is the 3-car garage, and then that 17-foot width would be to this side. So everything here is compliant from essentially, the 50-foot requirement would be somewhere over here. So everything there back, but the house exists where it exists. So with that said, I'm happy to answer any questions.
One quick question. The addition that's on the wall that faces that abutment on the side yard there, or front yard, how much, it's 4 feet at the bottom. What is it at the top?
Same dimension.
Same dimension.
Correct.
So is that an architectural treatment, or is that a functional treatment?
This is functional.
I mean, the overhang,
Right here,
yeah,
architectural.
it's architectural.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, Ms. Novak?
I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, we got, before I go to Mrs. Chico, I got a letter here from Kathy Maladosi, and it's, thank you for your info, 378 Grasslands. Unfortunately, we're out of the country, otherwise we would have attended the meeting. We know that the construction will visually impact our property, but our main concern is that it will not create any water issues on our property. That was the first thing. Another concern would be the height of the garage on that elevation. We only received notice of this a few days before we left, so sorry for the late response. And it's Catherine and Franco Malandorsi.
Mr. Chairman, do we know where this,
They're located on Thomas Place.
Yeah, right behind.
Yeah.
Where is this in relationship to the building itself?
If you go back to your overview. It's the house to the back corner, where the red arrow is pointing to the house on the right picture. It's in that corner where your red writing is, to your left.
Oh, yeah, so that would be, so if this is the subject property, this is a 700-foot driveway here, it would be then this house, I suppose.
Yeah, she said that they're the last house in the cul-de-sac on Thomas Place.
So if I may, again, as it stated earlier, the garage and everything back into the left is as of right. We can propose that without any relief to the front. Our proposed 4.4 feet is only to the front location, which has no bearing on that neighbor.
They're concerned about the height of that,
It's,
the garage.
it's compliant. It's compliant with zoning height.
What is the height?
Basically, you're saying how high is the height, because I don't see it.
Oh, it would be 29 feet, and it's it would be 2.5 stories total, the whole addition of the house, so including the garage. The garage it's not a detached accessory structure, it's actually part of the home because it's attached. So it's the same as the second floor addition. The garage would be all the same.
And what about the water issue, which he's concerned about?
Fully taken care of with engineering department. We'll have all stormwater management practices in place as necessary. Also, I mean, it's a tremendous lot. There's not going to be any overflow. There's not going to be anything moving beyond their property line. Generally, we don't want to trench or install those chambers too far from the actual leaders of the home anyway, for cost reasons primarily. So we'll be right adjacent to it.
If I remember correctly from the site visit, the property does slope down.
Mm-hmm.
So not in the direction of this resident's house, but actually away.
Correct. It sort of bowls around and slopes around the house towards the pool. So it's lower in this area.
Mr. Dorr, do you have any questions?
What is the intended use, just out of curiosity, of what you're calling the bonus room on the second floor of the garage?
Okay. So my client is an avid hunter and has prize pieces that he will be putting in that area.
Stuffed animals.
And
Stuffed
Stuffed animals.
animals.
they're called trophies.
It's trophies.
Trophies, yeah.
Trophies.
And it's
He-
not attached on the second floor.
At
it's
that
only the
level.
first floor.
At that level, no. Yeah, it's connected at the first floor. Correct.
And I'm assuming you looked at possibly shifting more that way, so you didn't even need a variance?
Yeah, so again, we can't even do a second floor addition on that house without a variance because of how close to the quote front yard setback that it is. So we couldn't even come straight up on that exterior wall as of right. We were really left, I mean, again, I sat on a zoning board myself for many years. We always try to avoid that when we can. This one was pretty much impossible without removing the house and moving it because of how it exists on that property.
Mr. Lepatos?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone here for or against this application? Sir, come forward. And you are?
My name is Fred Burke. I live at 376 Grasslands Road. So
Right.
my house is the house that's adjacent to the property
Right.
that would be most affected by the variance. And I understand completely the need for it. And I want you to know that I have no
Let me
opposition.
just swear you in, because we have to do this. Testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay.
I have no opposition to the variance that's requested.
You have none whatsoever?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
You're the house with the indication on it with like the red looking roof on that picture? Sir?
Yeah.
Very good, thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? No? Does the board wish to make a decision?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go to vote and approve Z 2513 as presented.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Mr. Lepatos. Ms. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. DeChico?
Aye.
And chairman votes aye, carried 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, everybody.
He didn't send his notices.
All right, the next application is Jennifer and Bruce Demari. Raise your right hand. Testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
It
All
is.
right. You're Bruce Demari?
I am.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, close enough.
And you're the owner of the premises located at 83 Park Street in Pleasantville?
I am, with my wife.
All right, that, of course. Designated on a tax map as 106.13-2-52.
Yes,
And the application for proposed installation of a 5-foot-high fence with an existing single-family dwelling in an 11,700 square foot lot in the R10 zone. And the variance you're looking for is maximum fence height, 4 feet required. You're proposing 5 feet. I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to walk up your driveway. My cardiologist advised me not to do it. But I've seen from the street exactly what you want to do. So what you want to do is just replace the existing fence
correct,
with the same type of fence.
correct,
And the existing fence is 5 feet high now.
correct.
I have no problem. Ms. Novak,
No questions.
Mr. Chico?
Right, we're not, where we saw the fence on the property now is where the new fence would be, no additional length of the fence or anything?
We have completed a recent survey which indicates the far end of the fence was slightly out of compliance. We're going to pull it back a couple of feet just at the last 2 panels of that fence. But other than that, it will be entirely replaced in its current position.
Very good, thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Dorr?
So it's basically everything to the right of the house, going
Cor-
back, and then that tree line in the back that has the wire fencing that's going through the trees is not being replaced.
Yes, Mr. Dorr, that's correct. Mhm.
Ms. Lopatos?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All right, does the board wish to make a recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve application Z 25-17 as submitted.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Novak. Mr. Dorr?
Aye.
Mr. Lopatos?
Aye.
And the chairman votes aye, so it's carried 5-0. Good luck with your fence.
Thank you. Thanks for your consideration.
The last application for this evening is 2518, that's 590 Commerce LLC. Forward. Well, I don't know, sing so. So, hi.
Good evening.
Raise your right hand. Testimony you're going to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
Okay. And you are? Your
I'm
name.
Cicely Lee.
I'm sorry, let me bring the mic.
I'm Cicely Lee, last name and I.
And I.
Yeah,
Sissy and I. Okay. What is the name of the establishment?
the name, the spa's name, Ariana Day Spa.
It is the Ariana's
Yeah.
Day Spa, okay. And this is for the new to renew an application
Yes,
for the, all right. Nothing has been changed from the last time.
yeah, nothing changed.
All right, so everything stayed the same.
Yeah, everything same.
Okay. I have no question. Ms. Novak?
Can you just point it this way so I can see the layout as well?
Yeah. So we have 5 rooms, this couple room, for kitchen. So this single room, have a bedroom. This is for 2 bathroom. So that's the lobby and office.
I don't have any questions.
You have any questions?
I just asked the planning department and the building department if there's any issues or reports that have come in, any, they're working with the police department or?
Police department checks after we make our approval. They do the inspection, but there's nothing from the building department at this time, no. Mr. Doris?
You're the original owners, because it's always been that, it's been there for a while, and you're the original owner.
Yes.
No further.
Okay. Ms. Lovatos?
Mr. Chairman, I don't find anything in the record that merits a question. I understand there will be a subsequent inspection done at the premises, so any special use permit would be pending the inspection, but I have no question.
Okay, fine. Do we want to make a,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 7/25/18 application.
okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Novak. Mr. Zachico? Mr. Dorr?
I made the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to hear from all the way back there. Mr. Lapazos?
Aye.
Okay. Chairman votes aye. It's good. Carry 5-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate,
I
yeah.
make the motion, we go to business session.
Yes.
You're good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, bye.
Bye.
Go over Z 25-8.
Okay.
I'll second going into business session.
Okay, so we're all in favor of going into the business session? Okay.
Okay.
On consent.
So we're now in the business session. Speak, Mr. DeChico. It's your time.
It's not my intent, nobody was saying anything, so I just felt like we needed to talk about it because nobody was jumping up to make a motion to approve something. So,
Well, my main concern was the fact that I wasn't worried about the front coverage. What I was concerned about, you had a contractor come in, put an addition on the house with no building permit, and the guy walks away scot-free and he's paid.
Well, I guess to the extent that I had a question, it was that. I didn't understand why we went into the front yard setback when that really wasn't, was that really the big issue? Because the front yard setback's not changing.
Setback and lot coverage.
Lot coverage.
Lot coverage is more the issue.
That right
He
side
had
is
a-
Right, no, it's a lot coverage, but Mr. Valani went into a detailed analysis of the front yard setbacks of the neighboring homes. But that wasn't the primary issue from what I remember. Because the construction that they did didn't change the front yard setback, right? It was,
It extended.
You increased the
It
non-conformity.
increased the non-conforming from the standpoint of, if you remember looking on those plans, that addition that he angled along and added to that front yard setback, which made it continually non-conforming, and then, because he's got that garage in the back, the square footage, if he didn't have that garage in the back, the square footage would cover, lot coverage wouldn't have been an issue.
I didn't recall that the addition was flush with the front. I thought it was a butt out somewhat down the property line.
It's on an angle, if you remember looking at his plan.
I saw it.
That's why that right angle bothers me. That's why I draw attention to it.
So again, I think in these cases, whether we're happy with the way we got here or not, the first question we should ask ourselves is, would we be inclined to have approved it if it came to us before construction? And I tend to think that we may have, at least I may have, based upon the dynamics of the lot and the neighboring property. If I had to lean one way or the other at the moment, it would be to.
Well, if you drive down Elwood Avenue, and I go by there almost every day, you'll find that a lot of the houses are pretty close to the street. And the so-called 30-foot front yard setbacks are non-existent in many cases.
I think what threw you is the coverage that you get. If you watch that front door, it continuous with the front. It butts up even with the front.
Awesome.
If anything, the little roof, I don't know what you wanna
portico
call it,
thing.
outcrop, that pergola thing is out even further.
Yeah. Does anybody want to not approve it?
No, your analysis was good, Nick. I mean, in effect, we're not here to punish the homeowner for not getting a permit in the first place, although it does present a factual background that doesn't support the application. It's not a basis to deny it either. That said, we didn't really get much of a explanation for how that came to be. We did try to explore it at the first public hearing, and the claim of ignorance, I think, was presented, and it was not particularly well supported, but it was a presented claim. And it would be a significant financial hardship for the homeowner, the applicant, to remove the offending addition, only to make an application for a building permit for a new addition, subject to the issuance of a variance that we otherwise might approve, and then allow him to rebuild the addition in the exact same place, the original.
My problem is not with the homeowner. But
You can't point
unfortunately-
fingers anywhere, because we don't
But
have.
my
both
problem
sides.
is with the construction company,
Yeah.
that knowingly, if you're in the construction business, you mean to tell me that you're that stupid, that you don't know that you have to get a permit to put an addition on a house?
See that thing right there?
Yeah.
And he gets paid and he walks away, and this poor sap gets stuck with the zoning
Unfortunately,
applications.
You can't see it. It's
water over the.
Yeah.
I know it
over the
is.
I mean,
dam,
there are
so to speak,
times-
that we can't, I mean, if this was in the middle of construction, it's a different issue.
I understand having to do like the cost benefit analysis of not punishing him because his ignorance that he didn't know and who he hired as a contractor. But if that's then always the out of, well, I just didn't know, I used my cousin or whoever did it and didn't do it correctly, then then what's the point of having the rules if all you have to say is feign or claim or allege ignorance, and then no one's ever held responsible? And I understand having to weigh the balance of not punishing him and not, causing a financial hardship. I see all of those too. But in the bigger picture, if no one's ever held accountable, then it kind of just tacitly implies that you can kind of do whatever you want, and as long as it's going to be too much of a financial burden, we'll just deal with it.
Which would be a very dangerous precedent.
I
to
understand, so that's why I'm
establish.
saying I'm weighing the considerations that we're raising here. He's a member of our community.
No, it's a good
I
point.
understand that, but rules are rules, and they're there for a reason.
We have made people shave back decks. We had that pergola that was very expensive, be totally reformed.
We also had another one where somebody's ruler somehow shrunk or got too long, whatever it was, with a full two-story addition, not one like this.
But at least that person sought a permit.
So-
Exactly, and we don't have a proof that this person knew or didn't know that one was needed and was trying to do something on the sly and got caught.
So I guess it just goes back to the idea, I think that the safest way, and probably the most prudent way to look at it is if it came to us as is beforehand, would we approve it? Or would we be likely to approve it or something very similar, if not exactly that?
I think we would,
Well, it's what, a 66% variance though?
but it's not, the fact of the matter.
30 feet is required, they're asking for 20.
I know, but
Not on
the
the front.
existing building,
Yeah.
when it was put up,
Well, it's not, they're
Square
extending,
foot.
they're extending the footprint of what's there. It's not,
yeah, you're 9.4 feet off the property line.
Okay.
And a lot of the houses there are very close to the street.
Well, he proved that point, that if he was coming to us in the front, those houses are already existing,
Yeah,
from that standpoint. So the front yard setback, I don't think, as a whole, we would really have an issue. And the lot coverage is 6% that they're going over, so to speak, so.
Well, if the lot coverage was the issue, we could deny the application and he'd have to pull the shed up. And then
Not
we
a
could,
shed.
it's a garage.
garage.
So, that was a big garage.
Remember when we were standing on the back and the little kid was running around? That whole structure over there, because when we were standing on the side where the jetty's out, we were like
So
shoulder
there
to
really is
shoulder.
no cost-effective way to get lot coverage compliance.
No.
Both structures are expensive to replace.
Well,
It's not like somebody has a small, 10 by 10
the
shed.
question now arises, do we want to approve it or not approve it?
Yeah, no, that's the question. But
To be or not to be.
That's right.
Ms.
I-
Novak's
I hate
points
the word
are
account-
good points.
I
though.
think it creates a slippery slope and it condones,
We have,
as I tell the kids, just, seek forgiveness later instead of asking permission. And if we're gonna allow it, then what's stopping the next person from a similar circumstance being like, oh, I did it, and then now I got caught?
if they do something, they run the risk of doing something that we consider egregious
then we would
and
deny it.
not something that we would have otherwise granted, and then we'd make them take. I understand that. I agree with the concern
No,
wholeheartedly.
I guess I'm just not sure if I would have granted it as it came before us, if it was presented as it
Yeah,
is.
That's a very.
We had an application once, several years ago, a house off of where ShopRite is, and the guy, we gave him permission to put up a deck. So let's say the deck was like 10 feet deep. He decided to make it 16 feet deep.
That's a little,
Yeah,
I
so-
understand the egregious
So when he
application
had
to
to
the
come before us,
analysis.
he said, I didn't know what to do. I said, well, you go to Decker Tool Rental and you rent a saw, and you cut it down. Certain things you can do. I think in this case with the house, he added a 2-foot section, which is actually de minimis as far as the whole house is concerned. And yes, it was done improperly. But, you know,
But if he came to us to Nick's point, with this application for the same exact thing, not built,
I think it would pass. I really would.
so, I mean,
We've
I
had
would use that
lots-
as a premise of going forward.
We've had a lot of different applications come before us in the past where you had front yard setbacks, even side yard setbacks. And on some of them, when we realized that it doesn't have an effect on the neighbor, you know, we go back to that old saying, what does 267B do? Well, it's self-created, 100%. Does it have an effect on the community or the next door neighbor? Not really, not on this application. There's so many trees there, I don't even know if they see each other. Is there another way of solving it? Yeah, sure, you can tear it down and start all over again. But I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue here is, we would be approving two wrongs make a right. And that's what you got here.
Well, if you want to take I mean, like you said, I'm personally ready to vote, and I would vote in favor at the moment.
And that's
So-
how I feel. I hate the word accountability. You can lie before Congress under oath, and nothing happens to you. You can lie in a courtroom,
Joe?
and nothing
Well,
happens
if
to
I
you.
lie in a courtroom, something happens to me very
Well-
quickly.
The only other word that I hate is, I'm sorry when you go to the doctors and the woman wants to take blood from you, the nurse. If you were sorry, you'd take the blood yourself.
Hang on a second. Mr. Chairman, when they come back to you, they have to pay for everything to get all this stuff legalized, correct?
Per
So-
item, right?
But there's no electrical inspection that's been done, there's no plumbing inspection that's been done.
And it's $1,000 per item.
How many items are there?
But there's attendant risks to somebody erecting a structure.
It's the addition. So it would be $1,000 legalization fee.
And what about anything ancillary inside the house?
So you don't know if the addition is safe? Couldn't know because you haven't inspected it.
No, we haven't been here.
So it could be unsafe. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we require a permit.
Certified. And have to probably make them verify before you get.
So he's gonna have to pay his architect to get all that verification data for you, so that,
So
I mean, it's not getting, nobody's getting punished here, I mean,
It's not a question of punishment, though.
Well, I mean, they're still paying something.
I know, but we're not,
Wait.
I thought,
Already had a porch footing to start, has to be down 42 inches. You're gonna have to dig that up to verify the depth and that the footing was done correctly. That's number one, then he's gonna have to do the same thing with the foundation, the wall, and then the architect is gonna have, a design professional, is gonna have to certify framing, and he's gonna have a plumber, electrician. So make sure at the end of the day, it's gonna be built correctly.
Okay.
I mean, that's the reason why we require permits before.
Exactly, I think that just reinforces
I think the
my
homeowner
thoughts.
did this himself, the neighbor told him.
But on that same note, if they're not going to get a C of O for the extension until that's cleared by the building department, right?
Which we're relying on the design professional also, to certify everything, because we didn't make the same.
Right, but after, assuming for sake of argument, the variance is approved, they still go through the process you just described before they get a certificate of
Yes,
occupancy.
submit plans, yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna review the plans.
Yeah, I can't go along with this.
Well, What are we gonna do, gentlemen and ladies?
I mean, I'm prepared to vote, but
I'm prepared to vote as
All
well.
right, so let's vote on it. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to, we're still in business session, but there's nobody
There's nobody here, so.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve application Z 25-8 as submitted.
All right, do I have a second?
And I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Dorr. Ms. Novak?
I vote, no.
No. Mr. Lapatos?
I vote no.
Her,
So it's 2-2, Mr. Chairman.
2-10. And why do you vote no?
Because to be honest with you, there was no offer made that in any way suggested that this was an honest mistake by the homeowner. So I have to assume that this was a non-compliant property that presents a significant risk to the safety of neighboring homeowners, to any occupants of the home. It doesn't have an inspection done for fire, doesn't have an inspection done for structural soundness. And the fact that now, because it would be expensive to make the property compliant, we're taking that into account improperly, I think, if we're using that as a basis to determine whether or not an application should be granted or denied.
All right.
There's nothing that was proffered that suggests that there's anything about this variance that doesn't present a hardship
It was a
that
sneak
can't be,
job.
that can't
Basically
be
what it
overcome.
boils down to.
Listen, it was entirely self-created. It
I understand.
may have features in terms of its non-compliance in terms of front yard setback that's similar to other properties. So I'm not saying it's out of character with the neighboring community, but it fails on all the other factors in terms of we don't usually allow a 66% variance when one is applied for. A pre-existing structure is one thing, a variance request is another. And I just don't find that there's any basis to differentiate this property from other properties where the cost of compliance would have been less.
All right. And Ms. Novak?
I echo Mr. Lapatos's sentiments, but I also see that, you know, if this hadn't been caught and there was an electrical fire, that we saw the little boy who lives there when we went there. So not following the proper process and procedure puts everybody's life at risk. And it's a lot easier, you know, if something had happened to the family, there was an electrical fire, something due to faulty wiring because permits weren't pulled, inspections weren't done, then everyone would be up in arms. But I think we have an opportunity here to show that, you know, you take a risk when you proceed without permits and following the proper process and procedure.
Well, based on what you two folks have mentioned, I'm going to vote against this application for no other reason that Ms. Novak made it very clear. No inspections on here or anything. Now, Mr. Brigani?
Yes.
Now, we denied this application.
Well, we have to come out of business session and then make a full entry of a vote, or
No.
did we come out of business session?
We don't have to be out of the business session.
I made the comment that we were still in business session, but since there was no audience left, that I did make the motion to approve while we were still in business session. We could come out and re-vote if that's.
I don't think it's, but my question to you, Mr. Briganti, is now that we've determined that this application has been denied, what is the responsibilities of the homeowner and the architect at this point?
So he does have a violation on the property right now, so that starts it. We could either extend the violation, we could send him in front of a judge, or they could do an Article 78.
A what?
Article 78.
Yeah. But practically speaking, they're still gonna be using the bathroom for the time being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there is a violation, and then we probably could send him to court. for them to judge.
But why would they have to go for an Article 78?
They
with the
wouldn't.
Construction?
They wouldn't. They wouldn't.
I don't understand why you would go before an Article 78.
I don't know.
They don't have to.
They don't have an
They
option.
could choose to,
Yeah, that's not.
but it's an option for the homeowner. We have no role in that.
Right.
I just don't want to sign another document and have it notarized, that's all. I just finished one last week. All right, do I have a motion to
I have
close
a
this?
motion to close both the business and the regular meeting.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Ms. Novak?
Vote to close.
Okay.
The meeting.
Mr. Chico?
Same.
Okay. We're closed.
Wait, hold on, we killed the next.